The manager might have said, first half good, second half not so good.
Not so good.
That was Sven's little saying, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And the first half we did. We had very good movement. Dele and Lingard in particular. We looked really sharp. We took advantage of the space that they were giving us. Second half, once they changed it, we seemed to pass it at a slower rate. The movement wasn't as good. And what was really worrying, I think, is that when they did change their system and then they scored their goal, we kind of went into our shell a little bit. And I think that's where we need to step up and continue to play like we know we can in the first half.
I think their system change affected us more than perhaps we thought it would. And the fact that they matched us up, all of a sudden those spaces that we were creating going wide in the wide areas and all the runs we were making, those gaps weren't there, and it was kind of like, right, what do we do now? So there was and then they scored, so it put them into, and it wasn't a particularly great goal. We just got caught out pressing up a bit in the pitch, and if you just look at Iwobi, Dele Alli comes over one, no one really picks Iwobi up. If you just watch how much space he ends up, it doesn't look any danger at the moment. They get players over this side of the pitch, but when it gets shifted, Sterling tries to get back, and in the end it's a great ball from Iwobi. Watch him just run past our midfield. There he goes, edge of the box, ball bounces out to him, hits the post, and he's the first on it. And if it's that, watch him just go past Dele Alli here. Now, from a midfield player's point of view, you have to stay with runners. And that all came from a press on the edge of their box. And so they're expecting to win it high, and they just got caught out a little bit lackadaisical second half. The energy level wasn't quite the same. Decent finish, but it kind of put us back on our heels, as Ian said.
But interesting, you said that the formation changed England more than maybe it would have done normally. More than it should have done. That's the point, though, isn't it? A formation change shouldn't affect a team who want to go deep into the World Cup in quite that manner.
No, and that the worrying thing is when that happens, who's the guy who's going to open the team up? Who's the one in midfield? And that's where all the big teams, like, you know, the Iniestas, Spain have a ball player. All the big teams.
Mentioned Pirlo.
Pirlo, yeah. Gaz, we used to have Gaza. Yeah. There's no one really in that centre of our midfield who can go, right, it's real stalemate now. How are we going to open the opposition up? So, but that's something. If he's not there, you can't play him, can you?
Yeah. So you're a little bit. Are you concerned from what you saw in the second half, or is that overplaying it a bit?
Once they scored, it seemed like we went into our shell. We don't want to do that because I think that in the first half we showed that when we're passing at a pace and we've got movement in front, and we had chances in the first half. Maybe we've got to be a bit more clinical with those chances, but we can't lose our confidence just because the team themselves have changed their formation. We've got to keep doing what we think we can do, and that's the movement and getting the ball into those players.
Because lots of positives in the first half.
Absolutely, and that movement we talked about and the width that we created. I mean, look at Lingard here. He comes into midfield, and we found the gaps in between their back four. As the centre-back comes close, that gap between the other centre-back and the right-back is stretched, and Lingard's really good at picking those gaps out, gets in the box. Trippier, half-decent ball, he nearly gets in. But here again, Sterling, this is the one, the gap's there again between right-back and centre-back, and we had the movement in order to create that space, and in the end he just gets a bit tight and curls into the space behind, and maybe should do a bit better righty. But again, this is another one from Sterling. Look how deep he is. That width from Young on this side puts the right back in two minds, and now that gap again we see, and Sterling makes the run.
Brilliant stuff.
And that was all first half. Second half, when they matched us, those gaps weren't there. So it was like you stopped making the runs, and that was what affected us more than anything.
Yeah, and even that opportunity there, it's the end product of that ball. You know, you've got to get there quick, get it right across the goal, get somebody a chance to maybe have a strike on goal. Those are the things I think we've got to be more clinical with.
OK, we'll have more reaction to England's win after the break, but first have a watch of this to find out how you can get fully kitted out for the World Cup. Let's tie up a few loose ends. Jordan Pickford didn't do anything wrong, so you would imagine that whoever plays on Thursday, Pickford plays against Tunisia?
Yeah, well, he said he was in charge of the shirt now and he didn't do anything wrong. He was pretty solid, didn't have an awful lot to do, but yeah, no complaints there. A couple of good punches and decision-making was good, so...
If I was going to be a bit picky, I'd probably want to start Danny Rose. So I was doing, when you do get the side, get on that left side, you can actually get at them quicker and get crosses. Especially when you've got someone like Harry Kane, he knows Danny Rose. We can maybe do that quicker.
Yeah, be interesting to see if he plays on Thursday.
Yeah, cuts back, you know. It's not...
Harry Maguire's done really well this season. I think we were assuming, probably still do assume he'd play against Tunisia. But Gary Cahill was man of the match. Is full of experience, has played at this level.
Yeah. He's give Gareth a question mark, because I think Maguire would have started, and he might still start, but I think he's certainly gone, oh, hang on a minute, because he was out of favour. You know, it's not so long ago. He wasn't in the team. He wasn't in the squad.
Worried about the phone
he wasn't
call.
playing. Yeah, he absolutely the worried phone call. But now all of a sudden, his end of the season's been strong, and he played well today. And there was patches that were difficult for the back three, and he dealt with them pretty well. So it's giving him something to think about.
What about Sterling and Rashford? I mean, the first half, it was very encouraging, and yet England weren't clinical enough. Listen, they're different sorts of players. What level of debate do you think there is there?
Well, I think that, like Gareth said, there were chances and opportunities we had in the first half, and a couple of those fell to Raheem Sterling. I think that he's got a problem in respects of which one of those, because like Dicko showed, Sterling can do good stuff, come from deep. And I'd like to see someone like Rashford doing more stuff on the edge when Harry Kane drops in, and he can make those little runs into those holes. So it's a problem. That's a good problem for Gareth. But I would like to see when the substitutes come on a little bit more intensity about them, a little bit more movement, because we can't go from almost like black and white. It was really two different halves. I
think with Rashford, if Rashford plays instead of Sterling, he plays higher up the pitch, so it's a different type of game you're playing. You're different management of the back four where he's making his runs, his starting position. Sterling will drop into that midfield area and create problems, you know, for the back four where the run's coming from. So it's completely different. The problem Sterling's got, although it doesn't seem to be a problem at the moment, is he hasn't scored in 20 games for England. You know, and if he's going to be a creator and then a goal scorer, you've got to sooner or later start scoring goals. And he's added a few chances for Man City, no problem.
And for however well he's done for Manchester City, do you sense out there when you watch him in an England shirt, he doesn't quite have that level of self-confidence in front of goal?
It does seem like there's a different vibe about him. You know, a lot of his finishes for Manchester City, he's literally coming on and finishing them off straight away. And some of the times you see him get into a situation where he's got to try and manoeuvre the ball and get the shot off, and he's not maybe hitting the target, hitting it over the bar. And maybe if he can, I don't know, getting into the box and maybe finish first time again, if we could create those chances for him, he'll nick a couple of goals.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, gents. We'll do it all again on Thursday night. Before that, more reaction and analysis of this afternoon's game. We're back later, our highlights programme at 10:20 here on ITV. And then Thursday night, as I mentioned, England's final warm-up game before the World Cup. It's against Costa Rica at Ellen Road, 7:30 here on ITV. So not long to wait till the 21st World Cup gets underway. We've got live coverage of the opening ceremony and the first game between Russia and Saudi Arabia, 2:30 Thursday, the 14th of June. And for tennis fans, the French Open continues tomorrow, 9:30 on ITV4. England's only ever meeting against Costa Rica was that miserable goalless draw in the last World Cup. We'll be hoping for better on Thursday. See you then. Bye.